Welcome to Launch Your Leadership. My name is Tim Jacobs. Thank you so much for joining today. If this is your first time tuning in, we are here to talk about leadership tips and tricks and practical insight and wisdom for those of you who are new to leadership or aspiring to leadership. Today, we are going to discuss navigating difficult conversations. I know everybody loves to have difficult conversations. I get it. Those are our most famous. We always run towards those, and those are the ones that we always desire to have that difficult conversation, right? Actually, you and I both know it's the exact opposite. We probably want to avoid those or pretend like they don't exist or hopefully hand them off to somebody else. Maybe that's above your pay grade, or maybe that's somebody else's leadership responsibility to handle those difficult conversations. However, we all need to learn how to navigate those, why we need to have them, and how we can proactively set ourselves up and the person we're having the conversation with for success. We have to be ready. If you want to be in leadership, if you're in leadership, you know the importance of being ready to address conflict when it comes up, but doing so in a way that promotes health in the relationship, in your team, in your church, in your ministry, whatever arena, perhaps your family, whatever the situation requires. So, no one wants to have them. No one seeks them out, but they're necessary. You know, I've had leaders in my life have difficult conversations with me, and also I've had to initiate some difficult conversations as well. And I wish that I could tell you that I've handled those things flawlessly, but that would be the furthest thing from the truth. There are several instances in my life where I've had to engage in these conversations, and there are a few that really stick out that I'll never forget. So today, let's talk about why we have to have these conversations and how to have these conversations. So, why should we have difficult conversations? If we want leadership success, if we want team health, why do we need to do this? Well, if we address issues directly rather than avoiding them, we create a culture of honesty and trust. When you and I learn the importance of these conversations, we'll understand that it has to come at a cost. In the past, I've avoided these conversations. What was the result? Too much time passed where it was practically impossible to emphasize the importance in the conversation, in the instruction, or the correction that was needed to work through that situation with those individuals. We shouldn't also swing the other way. We have to avoid swinging the other way where we're knee jerking and responding too quickly without having all the information. We can't do that, but we should always seek an end result of unity and reconciliation. We need to go into every conversation, or we need to go into the understanding of why we have to have difficult conversations, that it promotes unity, growth, trust, and reconciliation. When we do it in this manner, this is an uncomfortable thing. No one should feel comfortable having these conversations as they are unfolding or before we sit down and talk through it. But if we do it this way, it's actually more loving than hiding our concerns. So if you want to be an effective leader, then you have to address situations and problems head on, and you'll find that there's growth, there's more transparency, and you're both going to be better off at the end of the day. So before you go into it, you got to prepare for the difficult conversation. You, number one, have to pray. We have to seek the wisdom of God. We have to seek the guidance of the Lord to guide our conversation, guide our minds, guide our heart, and that we approach it with the right attitude and spirit. We can go to the Lord and pray, God, let me have clarity on this issue. If there are some pieces missing, if there's some things that we don't understand, pray and ask God, help me to understand this situation better, more clearly, and also seek all the information, fact find as best as you can with anyone everyone possible that you can talk to that has knowledge of the situation. We're not gossiping and talking to people who don't have knowledge, but anybody who has knowledge of the situation, talk to them, fact find, not an accusatory way. Hey, give me your perspective. What happened? Who said this? What happened here? Help me understand what's going on. And if we can clarify and perhaps get to the root and the core problem, then we'll go into it knowing a lot more than if we just went into it blindly, if we just rushed into the conversation with the individual or individuals and just started shooting from the hip. We can't do that. James tells us on multiple occasions about the wisdom that we need to have. He says, if anybody lacks wisdom, just ask God. He'll give you wisdom. He said the wisdom that we need to ask for is a wisdom that is from above. It's crucial that we have this when we go into these difficult conversations. So once we get into the conversation, what should our approach be? Well, two main approaches. Number one, we need to speak truthfully in love. We've got to go into it, not sugarcoating the situation, not pretending that it's not important, not pretending that it didn't have an impact on those around, on multiple people who know about the situation or the behavior and the actions. But we have to go into it not judgmentally, but we have to go into it with the understanding that, hey, there is an impact here. So we've got to be honest and truthful about it, but let's talk through it in a loving way. And if we do that with love, with humility, when we address conflicts, then we'll let the other person or individuals know that we might not have all the answers, but we're going to listen actively and we're going to move forward. We can't come in with pride thinking we have all the answers before we've even heard the matter. We can't even go into it saying that there's no proper feedback for us as a leader, because there could be something that maybe we didn't do to set the situation up for success. So go in with humility, go in with a spirit of acting in a truthful way, that we're going to address it head on. We're going to talk plainly. But the desired outcome, as we've talked about, is reconciliation, it's unity, and strengthening the trust in the relationship, in your team, in your group, whatever the situation calls for. Okay. So we've talked about why we need to have the conversation. We've talked about our approach going into it, where our mind, our attitude, our spirit should be, and how that should all be aligned, and what approach we should take going into it. But practically, what can we do in those conversations to support these things, to make sure that we are seeking out that unity, that we are getting to reconciliation? What can we practically do if we are a leader and having to have these difficult conversations? Let's look at something real quick. In Exodus chapter 30, God instructs Moses to create this sacred anointing oil. And then he told Moses to take the oil and to consecrate the temple, consecrate everything inside of it, and the priests as well. And this symbolized dedication, sanctification, and the presence of God. So if we go into a situation that we have to have a difficult conversation, and we approach it in this manner of pouring oil on the situation, then we'll be able to manage the conversation in a healthy and productive way. So let's talk about it. Offer help. This is a situation. How can I help this not happen again? Well, this is the action. This is the behavior. These are the things that I'm seeing. Is there anything I can do as a leader to help you in these areas, to make sure that this doesn't happen again, to come alongside you and help make sure that you're prepared for this particular decision that you're going to have to make? What do I need to provide? What do I need to do as a leader to set you up for success? So, offer help. Maybe you can't provide all of the help that they need, but maybe you can point them in the right direction. Offer help. See what they need, but start there. Inquire more. Question, 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 question. If we go into it with immediately hearing one sentence and then creating this 5-step correction plan, we're going to miss things. Ask a lot of questions. Every time something is said, ask another question. Get to the root cause. Uncover as much as you can about the situation. Ask questions about, well, how did we get here? Well, what's the influence here? Well, where are we going from here? Well, what do you think about this? Well, how do you think we can help in this way and moving this thing together in a forward way that's productive? Ask, 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 ask. All of these questions will help the conversation move a lot more smoothly instead of going into it and just casting judgment and making a bunch of decisions right then and there that perhaps we still don't have all the answers. So ask a ton of questions. And then L, actively listen. We have to listen in such a way that we let them know that we're hearing exactly what they're saying. And by doing that, it's more than just smiling and nodding as they're talking, it's repeating back to them. All right, let me stop you here before we go any further. This is what I'm hearing you say. Am I interpreting your words accurately? Am I understanding you right? Are we getting the right things across here? And are we ready to move on to the next thing? So listen actively before we respond. So if you clarify that you understand and say, okay, I got it, let's move on, let's keep going. This will build that level of trust in the relationship. This will show a lot of respect to the other person. A soft answer, Proverb says, turns away wrath. And at this point, we haven't even given any answers. All we've done is said, how can I help? Ask a lot of questions, and we just sat and listened. So if we can do that, we can diffuse the tension. This uncomfortable feeling in the room can start to disappear, and we can be more productive in the conversation. So if our intention is to focus on the healing of the situation and applying oil to it, so we walk away with a relationship of trust and a God-centered vision for the individual, for the team, for the group, for the relationship, then we're conducting these conversations wisely and correctly. Now, after we've done all this, we need to build a plan of accountability and follow up. Doesn't have to be long, doesn't have to be drawn out. Depending on the situation, it might be. It might take more time than a couple of weeks to build back that trust, to see the change and to see the growth. We're not sure. We don't know. Every situation will be different. So, but build that level of accountability and follow up, build a plan, set timelines, set actionable things that can be done so that we can prove that we are seeking growth, we're seeking unity, transformation through the healing process. So make sure that we're offering support in this accountability. Make sure that we are holding them to those commitments that are made during that time together. And then you'll begin to see things change. And that also will set them up for success later on when they possibly have to have difficult conversations, when they possibly are in a situation where the shoe's on the other foot. So that's how you have difficult conversations. That's why we have difficult conversations. And that's the approach through difficult conversations. They're going to come up. You're going to have them. So don't shy away. Don't run from them. And the more that you have had difficult conversations, the more you're willing to give grace and mercy and extend that hand of help and offering for this reconciliation, that process as you begin to lead. This is a vital part of our leadership, having difficult conversations. We got to have them, but they can be handled, as we've discussed, with love, with humility, and with wisdom. So thank you so much for watching today. If you've not already done so, please subscribe, like the video, share it, comment, hit the notification bell so that you are notified every time a new video is posted. And also, if you've not seen, I encourage you to go watch the new series that we have created, 2 Minutes with Tim. It's a quick 2-minute video every single day that I know that you'll enjoy. So if you've not already done so, check those out, and we'll see you next time.